Welcome to the Sample Chapter Podcast, the show where authors read a sample chapter from one of their books. Here's your host, Jason A. Meiske.
Bonjour, my friends, and welcome to episode 209 of the Sample Chapter Podcast. Oh my gosh, this week I am so delighted to welcome back to the show Diane Franklin. You guys know Diane Franklin. She's an iconic 80s American film actress known for her dark curly hair and dialects that she does in several movies, including the one that we are talking about today. That's right, we are talking about her new book, which is all about the making of Better Off Dead. It's a movie tribute book, and it is a blast, and I cannot wait to get over to that interview. It's going to be coming up here in just a few moments. We had such a good time talking about, we're talking about all kinds of things, because it's all about the movie. And let me tell you, it was difficult for me to stay on task and not just fanboy out and talk about the movie and her role and about Lane, played by John Cusack, or bring up other parts of it. And yet I still did at times. And I had to keep reminding myself, hey, come back. This is a book. We're talking about the book, not exactly talking about the movie. But it was a great conversation. Among everything about the book, we're discussing how she put the book together and how it's written, the style as far as like each chapter is so unique. We discuss her character, Monique, and what she means to the film and the legacy of that movie that it has. I think a whole lot of the legacy, really is owed to Diane's character of Monique and the way it was played. Now, I don't believe during the interview that we didn't get a chance to discuss the ebook version of this book, but we did discuss it off the air, and so I can tell you right now, at this time, there is no ebook version of the story, but that's because it's such a collector's edition. It is a collector's thing that you want to take with you to Comic-Cons or other things and have the cast sign it, because there was a whole lot of the cast members who she got to interview and talk to, including the director, Savage Steve Holland. So this is one that you want to pick up a physical copy of and then have it signed. Now, with that in mind, this episode is coming up on Tuesday, April 12th. So just a few days away, Diane Franklin will be at the Hollywood Show Convention, April 14th and 15th. And she tells me that she will have copies of the book there. So you need to, you can click the link in the show notes for one thing. And you can see right where that's going to be. But if you're in front of your computer right now, you can click and just hop on over to hollywoodshow.com and see all the other amazing stars that are going to be there. Diane is also going to be at 80s in the Sand, a week-long 80s celebration. And so that's coming up as well later on this year. So yeah, you want to make sure that you're following Diane by clicking the link in the show notes so that you know everywhere that she's going to be, and then you can look up the rest of the cast and find out where they're going to be. And yeah, get them to sign this book, because again, this is another one of the things I think we talked about off the air, but Better Off Dead does not have I don't believe it has a commentary track. There's no behind the scenes tidbits. It's all going to be here in this book. Stay tuned. We're going to have a great conversation, and Diane does a very sweet reading from a portion of the book, and it's really, really good. And I can't wait to get you on over to it. So once again, stay tuned for that's coming up here in just a moment. Real quick, I do want to thank my sponsor, Scrivener. This past week, I've had a lot of fun writing in my upcoming Bandit 2 book. Now, I had a hiccup, and I mentioned it here a week or so ago, how I had to go back and write an action scene because I'd written like 5 or 6 chapters without any kind of action. So I went back, added an action scene, and you know how it goes. I suddenly found myself having that action scene changed some things going forward. Now, something very unique about Scrivener is you can actually open up multiple chapters in different panes. Like you can have the work right in front of you. So I had the chapter that I was working on, and then the chapter that I was pulling information from, because the one I was writing was making the other one moot, although I still needed information from that. And so rather than clicking back and forth between them, I just pulled them up side by side, and there they are. That and so many other things is why I love Scrivener, and you're going to love it too. So pay attention to this quick ad and find out how you can save 20% on the regular desktop version. Jason here. Hey, I wanted to take a moment and tell you about my favorite writing tool, Scrivener. Now, I know you've heard about Scrivener because their writing software has been embraced by hundreds of thousands of other writers like you and I, from the novice to best-selling novelists. The reason we all use it is because of Scrivener's core concept to bring all the writing tools you use together in a single application. And with tools like automatic backup, character maps, project goals, and let's not forget that amazing corkboard, you can see why I use Scrivener every day. As a bonus for Sample Chapter Podcast listeners, use code CHAPTER for 20% off your desktop version. Scrivener writing software, built by writers for writers. As always, thank you so much to Scrivener for sponsoring the show. I also want to give a big shout out to my affiliate sponsor, Writer's Block Coffee. They have 3 delicious flavors to choose from. There's the Writer's Block Signature Blend, the Deadline Dark, and the Whiskey Barrel Aged Blend, which, as you all know, that one is my personal favorite. You can try one, you can try them all, you can order one or sign up for automatic shipping and never run out. Hey, click that link in the show notes so that you can hop on over, or just go right over to writersblockcoffee.com and make sure you use coupon code SAMPLECHAPTER for 10% off your order. And as an affiliate, you're going to be helping out the show as we get just a little bit of something that goes towards helping us out. Finally, I want to thank Pop Goes the Culture Network, home to about 10 other amazing shows, all of them pop culture related and all of them fantastic. Hey, go check out Fanatics at the Fan or Two Dads Review, just to name a couple of them. And you are going to love everything that they offer week in and week out. Click that link in the show notes for more. Now, make sure you are also following the Sample Chapter Podcast on social media. We are available on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. It's very easy to find, just Sample Chapter Podcast. You can also go to our website at samplechapterpodcast.com and click the links in there for all of that. I do share, of course, every episode each week. I share it a couple of times. Plus, I have links for our sponsors and affiliates, our podcast friends, and I do share old episodes, so that way you can hear about another author who we talked about a year ago, 2 years ago, 5 years ago at this point. Can you believe it? 5 years ago. So make sure to search us out and follow us on social media. If you're not a social media type person, but you want to reach out to the show, you can do so by contacting me at samplechapterpodcast@gmail.com or leave me a voicemail. I would love to have some new voicemails to play on the air in an upcoming episode. So give me a call at 660-851-1146 and tell me something good so you can hear yourself in an upcoming episode. All right, ladies and gentlemen, it is time to get on over to my conversation with the delightful Diane Franklin. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another exciting and most excellent episode of the Sample Chapter Podcast. I am joined today by a friend of the show, a previous guest, all the way back from October of 2018, episode 38. I am here with the wonderful, the delightful, the excellent babe of the 80s, Miss Diane Franklin. Welcome to the show, Diane. Welcome back.
What a fabulous and exciting intro. Thank you. Thank you for that. I don't know whether to say that it is most excellent or say it is magnifique. Très bien. Très bien. Thank you. I'll just say merci buckets. How's that?
Merci buckets. That's right. That's right. Oh my gosh, that is wonderful. Yeah, and that was so much fun to it made my night. I was moonlighting, working at night at the theaters again when that first year when I was doing the show. And then I thought just on a whim, oh, wow, Diane Franklin has a book about the 80s and all these movies that she was in, the excellent stuff. I was like, why not? I'll try it. What the heck? And I could not believe when you wrote back and was like, oh yeah, it was like excellent. And it's like, oh, I'm like bouncing around the theater. And unfortunately there was like two kids there who knew who you were. And they were like, oh, really? And I was like, guys, you've got to see Better Off Dead. You've got to see Bill and Ted. You got to see all these movies. And
well, it is funny because, obviously it's to know my career, you really have to be someone who loves movies and is that loves boutique and indie films and loves the 80s. There's a lot of ways you can find out about me. And I'm even doing movies now, but it is really exciting when people get that look in their eye. They just like go, oh, it's you. And I go, oh my gosh, it's me. It's exciting because it's been so many years, Yeah. It was 40 years. I did a movie called The Last American Virgin 40 years ago. I did it. And Amityville 2, 40 years ago. So it's just kind of probably, I guess 35 years ago or so, I did Better Off Dead. So I'm just always very grateful and happy that people remember these wonderful, cool films. Like, I just think it's really fun.
Of course. Well, especially with like the film we're talking about today. You were an integral part of it. And that just it stands out to me. You were the main love interest. You were the guy, or you were the girl that made all the guys go like, oh, I want a girl to move in across the street like that. So it was.
I'm going to tell you something really funny, and it's funny you say that because just yesterday I was talking to I was doing tech for a play that I'm directing, and the tech guy said to me, I was like, oh, and he knew me like as a director, so he's like, okay, you're directing, and then he said, and I don't know, something, I was talking about being in the entertainment business. I kind of thought that he knew I was an actress for some reason. I don't know. And so I said, oh yeah, when I worked in television film, I went through this and blah, blah, blah. And we were talking about the technical aspects. And then he turned to me and he went, oh my God, I was in love with you for about 2 years. And I was like, oh, I hope I'm not a disappointment now. But it was like, it was so funny. It was like out of the clear blue, I saw his eyes go, that it all you, like really, really fun. It was like fun.
Oh my gosh. Well, yeah, and everybody, I guess what we should do is let's bring up the book. So this is the part of your series that you're doing, the excellent.
Take a deep breath for this one. Take a deep breath. Okay, here we go.
Yes. All right, here we go. The excellent comedy of the last American French exchange babe of the 80s. This one is the Better Off Dead movie tribute book. That's right, the movie from 1985, folks, Better Off Dead, starring our guest, Diane Franklin. What a great book.
Oh, well, I have to tell you, thank you for that, because it has gotten such favorable responses so far. So far, so good. It just came out. It came out in February on my birthday, because I too like to have something exciting going. Ooh, I did that on my birthday, and I wanted to make sure I got it out. Actually, the thing about this book, first of all, I love the film. And it's my favorite film in the sense, I love the character Monique. I think it was the one closest to who I am as a real person. And when I first did it, I explained how it happens in the book, but when I first decided to do this book, I was a little hesitant because my other books come from a perspective of my perspective on my career and how only me as far as my experiences. But when I decided to do this book was more like an account of the film facts. And also I wanted to bring in, like, I knew that my experience obviously wasn't all of it. So I wanted to interview people and bring new, fresh interviews, and then also give behind the scene information. And so what happened was, when I started it, I actually contacted Savage, Steve Holland, and I said, well, is there anything you want to add?
Mhm.
And he was the most lovely, gracious, excited person. He was so happy that I brought this up. And he was like, yes. And like, maybe, I don't know, I asked him and I thought, okay, I'll probably get something in like 6 months. Literally, like maybe in a week, I got like a book. Like it was like he sent me like 30 pages. I was like, oh my gosh, and it made me really happy because I knew that no matter what happened, it made him really happy as well to go back down memory lane. Lane.
Oh.
Remember Lane?
Lane.
Memory Lane, like Lane Maya. So this is very good. So that was the first part of the excitement for me. Then because of COVID, I really took my time with it. I asked people for interviews. At first, some people didn't have time. Then I got interviews last minute later. So it was very exciting. And I didn't tell people, like I didn't say, and the book is coming out exactly here. You like give people like a 3 months notice. I kept saying it's coming, it's coming, it's coming.
Mhm.
But I didn't want to give that date because this book is not, it's not like a new project that has a movie coming out and everything has to be coordinated to that day. This book is going to be a word of mouth celebration. This book is something where if people know the movie, if you say to your friend, hey, do you know Better Off Dead? And they go, oh, yeah, I love that film. Then you pass on that information. Oh my gosh, guess what? They just came out with a book. And this is like the special features we've all been waiting for in the Blu-ray, but never got.
Yeah.
So my feeling was, I feel like I have the whole year to celebrate this book. So that made it really much better for me because I have more surprises coming. People don't even know. There's so many exciting things.
Oh my goodness.
But I'm just, what it is like, I let my fans know first, anybody who follows me. So anybody who follows me on Twitter or Facebook or Instagram. And then so they're getting the information first. They're getting to get the book first before more people are going to find out about it. And again, I have several things coming out that are going to make let more people know. Another part of this is doing podcasts. So if you're listening to this podcast, you are again getting one more person, two more people finding out about it. And you're in the know because it really is that this film Better Off does just like the film. It is like a word of mouth. And it's like, I love this movie. I'm going to tell you about it and then go watch it. And so I feel like this book is the same thing. It's a word of mouth. It's not something you're going to find in the supermarket because it's not appealing to the new generation. And it's also, I don't know, like, I think it's a great movie for everyone, but maybe, but it's nostalgia. And if you value nostalgia, you're going to search and you're going to look for this. So this book doesn't get old. It will not be, it's not dated. It's not like you find out and you go, oh, well, I've read that. I know that. Because there's a lot of books that are dated, like the minute you read it, you're like, okay, well, we're on to the next. This book is forever, as with all my other books, because it's the idea is go back to the 80s and visit the 80s. And if you don't know the 80s because you were born in the 90s or 2000s or the 2100s, you're going to get a chance to hear the vernacular. You're going to get a chance to feel what it was like to what the entertainment was like, what the genre was like. It just you're going to get a really primary source from me.
Totally.
Totally. We're bringing you back.
Oh, yes. Oh,
we're back in the 80s, most triumphant.
Oh, that's bodacious.
Right. There you go. Now we're in the mood, right?
Now we're there. Yeah, I would, well, and you alluded to it, you talked about it, but yeah, I was going to say that just like the movie in the 80s, I mean, we didn't have the internet. We didn't have, everything was word of mouth. So yeah, I love this approach with the book. It's unique and it's fresh and it's something different. And, it's nice because the podcasts are kind of like going on the radio or going different places or even singing at Dodge Stadium.
But of course, like yeah, people didn't even know that I sang at Dodger Stadium. And by the way, when I did, it was 2004. I don't know if you could find it on the internet. Sometimes Dodger Stadium is a little bit, they don't want the singers to be on the internet. I don't know. Everyone's breaking all the rules anyway on the internet. So who knows? But that was an example of me being able to do the film. And then years later being able to, I was at Dodger Stadium and thinking, I saw like a lot of 80s, film. They were doing sort of like throwbacks on the big Tron, like, showing scenes from all the old movies. And I thought, oh my gosh, maybe they want to do some kind of autograph signing or something like that. And I had a manager at the time. He contacted Dodger Stadium and they said, oh no, but if she'd like to sing the national anthem, we'd love it. And I was like, what? Yes. Like, what? I'm afraid, but yes, anyway, because Monique would do it. Right. So interesting. The thing that I find, again, so fascinating, like for instance, we are doing this podcast now. I have information now that I didn't have when I did previous podcasts, which is I actually did a hologram. I was in a hologram and it has to do with my book. It's going to be a promotion for my book in a hologram form. And it's a company called Proto. And they are run by the president of the company is David Nussbaum, but his nickname is Nuzzy. And I knew him when he was a long, long time ago when he was a podcaster. I did a podcast for him. And today he's got this company and they created this new technology. And I was so excited. He asked me to come and it's going to be the first time they're using this technology as a hologram in this way. And mind you, they just did a promotion of their project. And by the way, I don't get paid for this. I don't get paid to advertise for them. You can't buy these machines, like they're really expensive, but I mean, you can, but they're expensive. But they just were on the Ellen show and they were on the Today Show. And like they use the technology on those shows. So the word is getting out about their product, but I feel extremely fortunate that, again, my book is going to be exposed in this way. That's going to be a big publicity push when that comes out. So, but again, it's like we're talking about what made Better Off Dead such a great film is that it is like you turn to your friend and you go, do you get this? Like, do you get it? And then the other person, yeah, I get it. It's hilarious. And once you understand that, like it's almost like you found your people. Yeah. Like if somebody loves Better Off Dead, you go, yeah, okay, you're a good person. Like you get it. But if you don't get it, like a lot of critics did not get it. They were like, oh, it's too over the top and it's cartoony. And they missed the beauty and the love of this film. This film is, if you don't know the film, it is a love story and a comedy. And it talks about, it's got dark issues and it's a sign of the times. And it's a positive female role model, my character. And the actors, I mean, who are in it are all major big people that, John Cusack, David Agnew Steyer, and Vincent Schiavelli, Amanda Wist, Curtis Armstrong, B.G. Daly, like these names and these actors who are still acting today and have brought so much happiness, I think brought a lot of happiness into entertainment.
I remember a couple years after this came out, I remember watching Karate Kid 2 and having a moment of not being able to take Chosen seriously because I recognized him from Better Off Dead, from the car with the Howard Cosell voice. I was just like, oh my gosh, that's him. It's like, okay.
Right. That's absolutely, because now, and then like, again, we are so educated as in film today, more so than we were in the 80s, really, because there wasn't the internet. We couldn't go back and see that scene or like, oh, let's check that actor out. What movies are they in? Let's go watch all their movies.
Yep.
We couldn't do that. That was not a thing. You had to watch it in the theater and then it was gone. And then if it was on VHS, you got to then watch it. Or if it was, I mean, a lot has changed since certainly when I was doing these films, you could only watch channel. You only had 13 channels on the TV, and you could only watch one show. And if you missed it and you were having dinner and you missed that show, you had to wait till the reruns. You were out of luck, buddy, right? Yep. You were out of luck. You missed what you were not current, and everyone at school would be talking about, what was happening, but you were clueless.
Yeah.
And then, the next generation was the generation of VHS, and those tapes would run out, and, tapes would get played so much that like all of a sudden the tape would get stuck, or it would break, or, you'd have to rent it again or something. There would be problems. And then, obviously the discs were made it so much better. But now with streaming, like you even said, you were trying to find Better Off Dead and you couldn't find it streaming. And that's shocking to me, because I go, oh, wow, like now anybody who has a copy of it, this is a collector's item. Who knows, really what's going to happen, if it'll ever come out again. I mean, streaming. But wait, you know what? Actually, wait a minute. I heard someone so wait, did you look and see? Because I thought somebody might have told me, maybe it was a different movie I did, but I was wondering like if somebody picked it up yet. I don't know.
Well, because it's funny, because I think I saw it on sale on like Vudu or Movies Anywhere or something recently, and I laughed. I was like, oh gosh, yeah, I've already got that, but
right.
But so I didn't buy it then, and I didn't think about that this week to like go in there and see if it was still on sale or something like that. But
yeah. And these movies are, I guess, I mean, obviously Better Off Dead is just one of that world. But since this is like a book podcast, I have to say that I love my other books, but this one is, I look at it and I feel really proud, because it's like I have so many wonderful things in it. I have pictures of all the fans wearing my Better Off Dead coat for over 10 years, 10 years of fans putting on my Better Off Dead coat and taking a picture alone or with me. So that's in here, which is fascinating. I have quotes from people of how the movie affected their lives, which is priceless, just priceless.
Well, it feeds into, like you were saying before about some people didn't get it back at the time, but it had such heart. There were some over the top things that were just funny.
Which is what made the style. It's a stylized movie. And by the way, Nickelodeon, all the TV shows that came from this style, like iCarly and Zoe 101. And I mean, they're old now, but at the time, like so much of Nickelodeon's entertainment was affected by Better Off Dead. The cartoony style, that was on purpose. It wasn't like they were trying to be real. It was something new. So
I was trying to explain to my wife the scene where Lane was going to hang himself. And I'm realizing as I'm describing it, okay, this sounds horrible, but believe me, it's hilarious. She's like, I'm going to have to see this. I had to show her the scene. And she was like, yeah, okay, all right, yeah, that's funny.
Well, see, that's why like it can't really, you can't put it in the supermarket, because it could be misunderstood if you took it literally. Like I actually was asking people, I know that I guess Better Off Dead's gotten to England, and I really I just did a podcast with someone who I was saying who's from the UK, and I said, you get Better Off Dead. Do you understand the humor? Do you understand it's funny, like it's not meant to be serious, but you can't assume that unless people understand sarcasm, something's over the top, because if you take it literally, you go, oh, well, that's obviously not real, or obviously that's a terrible message, or like you don't understand the tone. And every country in the world has they laugh, but they don't laugh unless if you understand the language, then some things are funny to one culture and not to another. But if anybody falls down, everybody laughs. You know what I mean?
That's right.
You fall down, and I don't care what country you come from, you're going to laugh. So that's kind of the universal understanding of comedy.
Well, I got a sneak peek inside the book. I was looking at it online, and I saw one of the really cool things that you did was you went through by the characters. Like each chapter is another character from the movie, and that is so cool that we get to get a little bit of their background. We get to hear about how they came about. What all went into that? Was that just all Steve, or was it the interviews that you did?
Oh no, for me, when I envisioned the book, I saw it as a fan and I thought, I want to visit all the characters. Because what if I identify with one person or identify with somebody else? It's like, I felt like that was really an important part of the book, because we watched the film, and with any kind of, I think the teen films, everyone always sees themselves as one of the characters, especially during the 80s. That was a very common thing, like, am I the nerd, or am I the jock, or am I, kind of, those were, to a certain extent, I think it's just kind of, we're trying to find who we are in what we see. And so I did that, and I did that even to the smaller characters, because I knew, like, anybody who watches this film has seen it more than once, several times. They know the dialogue, they've memorized the dialogue, they know what's going on in the background, and that's a different way of viewing. In fact, I think that's perhaps one of the reasons why the film has done so well still to this day, because you can watch it like you watch something on the internet over and over again.
Yep.
And it's still funny several times, after seeing it, how many times you see it. So the characters to me were not just it's not just Ricky, but they're archetypes, and that means that they're part of our culture. Mm-hmm. They never get old. And what has happened though is, with the world today, we are a lot more, we're much more not tolerant, but we are more aware of, don't put people down. This is a really important thing. And when I wrote this book, what went through me in my head was, I could use a lot of words that kind of our generation or my generation would be like, oh yeah, like, dorkhead, like I say dorkhead, right? And so this is not bad, well, when I was doing it, but perhaps someone who is a nerd would be offended by dorkhead, right? So this is, but on the other hand, so I had to really think about what makes this character, even Ricky, what makes him likable and not likable? Like, some people might associate themselves with him. And if that's the case, he is not a bad character, or a character he's not bad for being nerdy, but he is bad for being lascivious and being, a sex maniac, and, objectifying me, like, that kind of thing. So I had to be very thoughtful in how I'm dealing with these characters, because today's generation, it is not a given that we just say, or like, I'm just trying to think, even the jock, saying that someone like Aaron Dozier playing the bad guy, and what his real problem is his vanity. It's really him being like, well, I'm all that, and that kind of what do you call it, egotism, is still not attractive today. Yeah. Pride is okay if you're, let's say a woman, or like, but guys who have, and by the way, having confidence is great. We're trying to get Lane to have confidence in the story. Yeah. But Aaron takes it a step further, and he puts down people. So he is technically the bully. And so there's a lot of things that were different in this book that I considered when I wrote it. So it's not the typical, name calling, and that's what they are and not what they are. I even made a point of saying, which I think is really funny, that if Monique was born today, she would be reporting Ricky to the principal, because it's not okay. She would not stand for it. It's #MeToo. It's not good. Yeah.
And she would raise some eyebrows when she talked about his testicles being all around her.
Yes, what are you doing talking about your testicles? What is this? What testicles? Your testicles, keep them to yourself.
Yes, that's right.
But so it's a whole different world, you know, and I just wanted to be considerate of that, but also obviously it's hilarious. The whole, you know, I know that 80s films have sometimes been reassessed today by today's audiences, right? Like,
oh, sure.
I remember some movies, like I guess even The Breakfast Club, is that a movie that's been sort of attacked?
I think Breakfast Club a little bit. 16 Candles has certainly been
the one.
Yeah, that's one that's been like, oh no, can't do that one today.
Right. So like there's a lot of, sometimes you go, oh wow, like, you know, and what's fascinating to me is that movie, we as actors, we just did our work and we did all these things, and where something could be so popular today could be so unpopular. That's like fascinating. And I'm even like Bill and Ted's, you know, Bill and Ted's, that movie almost didn't come out. It was sitting on the shelf. It wasn't because of the times, it was because the people who made the movie, when they did it, the distributors or the people who were going to put it out didn't think it was good enough, and they thought it was immature, they thought it was juvenile, whatever. They just thought it wasn't a good movie in their eyes. But thank goodness they did bring it out, because that movie was really kind of a savior during the pandemic. Because, you know, we're talking about Bill and Ted Face the Music was a time, it couldn't have been better timing for that film to come out, that it made everybody feel good. And then everyone would go back and watch the old films. So it's quite amazing when you're an actor to experience the different, you do a movie, but you can never count on that being there accepted forever. It's going to be seen from many different angles. Yeah,
that's right. That's right. And the 80s keep coming back. So
I like
that's the cool thing. I keep seeing more 80s coming back. I love to quote 80s stuff in my books. And you're right, though. I have to be careful about, like, I'll go to make a joke 80s style, and I'm thinking, oh, I don't know if I can do that one anymore. I gotta consider this, and I gotta pick a different one.
And, it is, because it's not. And then sometimes you realize your own, like, wait, that is not. Yeah, it's like you suddenly go, wait, I didn't mean that, you know. So it just, and then look, you know, the pendulum flaps back and forth. I'm sure we'll, you know, get to a place where then, oh yeah, that's very mild, you know, whatever. It's just you know, you just try to, one of the things about this book, which I also think is cool, is no matter what happens, people are going to be looking at it and going, oh, wow, this was written during this time period when everything was more PC and everything was more considerate. Hashtag Me Too was going on. Black Lives Matter, you know, all these things were happening during the time that this book was written. And that's another part of it. I even make a reference at the end that this is that was written during COVID. Because I'm 10 years from here, people are going, oh yeah, how did you live through that? You know, was you under a pandemic, didn't you? Right? I mean, hopefully. So yeah, we all are a part of history.
That's right. That's right. Well, so I mean, I'm trying to think of, like, I had a list of questions, but I realized some of them I had could be spoilers for the books. I don't want to, like, steal anything from that. But what about, like, what was, like, one of your favorite lines from the movie?
Oh, well, you know, I always thought that it was really funny when Curtis said, do you know the street value of this? The street value of this. I should look it up. I'm going to look it up because I have it in my book. I have a quote section. So, because I thought, oh yeah, people have to know it. And then, oh my gosh, I'm just looking at Curtis's lines. It's, do you have any idea what the street value of this mountain is? That's really funny to me. I thought that was really funny. And then, of course, this has always been a classic. I've been going to this high school for 7.5 years. I'm no dummy. I know high school girls. So like that line, I've been going to the high school for 7.5 years. The idea of someone saying that with such commitment. I just hear him saying that, probably my favorite lines in the film. Always made me laugh.
And it reminds me too that you were talking about the characters and how how much everybody loves them, and I think it's because we recognize each of them, their character types. We recognize and we know somebody like that, or at least I think our generation definitely was like, oh, I know that guy, and I know this guy. I knew Curtis's character. I knew a guy like that, and so they were all relatable on some level.
Oh, I think that's one of the important things about movies is that we look at movies and we see ourselves and we see the people we know. And we also see from Better Off Dead, what I really loved about the film is when you watch the movie, sometimes life is so horrible and it is so unbearable and it is so sad. And but if you look at it through the lens of, can you believe this is happening? Like the lens of Better Off Dead it's like looking at your best friend and going, can you believe this is happening? Like there's so many times where that the idea of sharing it with someone else in that film, it's like you're on the inside of the joke. You're on the inside. And so, for example, the mom's bad cooking. All right. Everybody knows someone who is a horrible cook. Might be your mother, might be your aunt, whatever it is. And you keep your mouth shut because you're trying to be polite. But what's great is the viewer who watches this movie feels like they've kept their mouths shut, and finally they're feeling what Lane feels when he looks at his mother's dinner.
Yeah.
And it's like the inside joke. And I love that. I think I don't know if I'm explaining it well, but I love the idea where you watch something and you go, oh, I feel that, like, yeah, that is the worst food I've ever had. And I can't say anything about it because I'm going to get yelled at. My mom's going to get mad, whatever. I'm just keep it in.
Yep. But somebody's going to watch that and it's going to relate to them. They're going to be like, oh, yes, I know that feeling. Yeah.
I know that feeling.
Yeah. Yes. Whoever's, I almost slipped there for a second. I almost said a dish that came to mind.
Don't say that.
Yeah. But yeah, somebody's dish, like, oh, yes, when they make that was, yep.
And you just got to keep your mouth shut. Maybe that's different in this generation. This generation is about saying everything, and everything's on the internet, and everything's like, look at my great food, look at my disgusting food. Everyone is sharing their opinions with everything. So just even the idea of keeping something in might be a novel thing to someone watching it today.
Yeah.
But those of us who grew up with it, we know.
Yeah.
We know. Absolutely. You keep your mouth shut. You just don't do it, and that's like what I liked about Monique, because Monique could keep her mouth shut. And not many characters do that. Perhaps foreigners maybe more in movies, like coming into a country, watch more because they don't speak the language very well. But I love that about Monique, because the first half of the film, you only see how she reacts. You have no idea that she has so many opinions. And I have found this to be true of anyone from a different country. They have a lot of opinions, but they maybe one in their culture was trained not to say anything. Americans say everything, right?
Yeah.
But in that one culture, like we just, you're trained not to in your family. Another thing you're taught maybe is, but you do have opinions. You do have a lot of thoughts. And so you get somebody alone or you get somebody who's speaking your native language and you're all out, like, what do you think they were doing? That's ridiculous. I can't believe they did that,
Oh, gosh. So, well, I mean, that's part of the attraction to Monique, is that she's got her opinions. She's got her knowledge base. She's not afraid to try something like pulling out the book and start working on the car. And she sees in Lane what he's capable of who he is. And I think, like I said, I think that's part of what got so many so many boys growing up that were just falling in love, going like, oh, I want to find a Monique. I want somebody who's going to look at me, and you don't want the you don't want the girl that's always looking for the other guy, the hot guy. You want the girl that looks inside you and finds the best in you. Unfortunately, I found mine. I found my Monique.
Oh,
so she's upstairs.
Monique. And that makes me so happy, because if that is what it did for people, it's super. Another thing too, like Monique's very capable.
Mm-hmm.
And when you see this movie, suddenly you go, wait, I want to find somebody who I can talk to and who is capable, who like has interests.
Yeah.
It is not just about shopping or buying things or looking pretty. Like looking great is great, but obviously you don't marry the one who just looks like on the outside, like just perfect. You can't, there's nothing holding it together. A relationship is held together by interests, by sense of humor. And if you have a common interest, you both like to shop, you both like to do, that's one thing. But what I really am happy about with Better Off Dead is that you get to see this girl on a deeper level, and she can be all of herself, which allows Lane to be all of him.
Yeah.
It's really important to be free in who you are, to be who you are. And when you're close to someone, you want to be who you are. That doesn't mean to say that you're going to be your worst version of you. We always want to try to be our best with our partners or people, because that's a sign of respect. That's a sign of care. Monique is very brave, and she does not expect Lane to be her, but she expects him to stop it. Stop putting yourself down. As much as you are feeling bad about yourself, you're also not being fair. You're not being, you're actually not looking at yourself fairly, because as down as you are in yourself, there's so many wonderful qualities, and it's not fair for you to judge yourself only on the negative ones. That means you're not even being truthful. We all have great things about us. Every single person does. So, but it's where you choose to focus. So Monique takes the focus and puts it on the truth. It's like, stop only seeing what is bad of you. You can do it,
That's right.
And, you can do it. Go get it. Go ski the K-12. Why are you judging yourself, before you even try? I think that what's really cool about the romance between Lane and Monique is that it's like a magnet, Some people are strong, and she finds the softness, the weakness in Lane, and she tries to help him. And then what's fabulous is when she's in trouble and she's weak and she's being tortured by the Smiths, he comes and rescues her. Yep. It's very nice, and he stands up for her, even to Aaron Dozier, to Roy Stalin. So they take turns being brave. And I think that's really a strong part of what a relationship is that you take turns helping each other. And so that is my advice as Monique. Right? Remember, don't forget to practice your language lessons too. Right?
I love it. Well, was there, you got to cover so many things with all of the characters, the locations, what went into it, the directors. Was there anything you really wanted to cover, but it just didn't work out? Anything that you were like, I wanted to talk about that?
Okay, first of all, I really wanted to find Scooter Stevens, who played Badger, the brother. I really wanted to find him to interview. I looked everywhere on the internet, could not find him. The irony was, after I did all these interviews, I talked to, and I finished the book, Aaron Dozier said, oh yeah, I ran into him at a college party. And he was like, yeah, I stopped acting. And I was like, what? Like, I was like, I wish that I had been able to talk to him. I also wish I had gotten to be able to include in an interview with John Cusack. I have to say that I wrote about John, and you will read about it. And so did Savage. My feeling about John is that it's not that I actually spoke to him about it, but I respect the fact that every actor does not necessarily want to be known for every film they do.
True.
And I feel like John may want to be taken more seriously. So I try to give people space, he is who he is. And at some point, maybe he'll write a book, or maybe he'll write something, or maybe he will make a point of saying, well, this is what I really want to be remembered for. Better Off Dead fans will always remember him as Lane, and they'll watch his other films because they fell in love with him. They were him from Better Off Dead. I know people who watch that film and they're like, oh, I'm going to follow John because I identify with him. So Savage wrote some great stuff about John. I didn't even know. And then I wrote stuff as well. So it's an excellent chapter. It's an excellent to share about him. And I think that if I get any information, if John ever does decide to do an interview with me, like he would let me, say, oh, that's okay. Because I know Curtis wrote about him as well in his book. I would do a revision of this. I would add it and then I would put it out again. So if that ever happened, I would definitely do that because he's such a major part of the story. I mean, he's the lead guy that is going through it. And I think that we're all curious about how he felt about doing it aside from the actor perspective. We all know, like, as an actor, maybe that wasn't what he, identified with, but the character, playing Lane, I think people are more interested in how does it feel to play someone who wants to kill themselves, like who just, who's gotten so sad and so depressed and so hopeless, like they lost their vision.
I think a lot of people could, I think a lot of people would learn from that, especially through COVID, because there was a lot of that.
I completely agree. So who knows if that's something that is open to happen. Again, what I really like about these books is that I can, they're a work in progress and things can be adapted. But whoever gets it now gets the first version. And it's just, it's just interesting. I also got to talk about Beth, who is still to this day, Monique and Beth in real life are friends. We are real friends. We talk all the time and we try to do events together if possible. It's kind of funny. I always thought it would be kind of funny if Beth and Monique did their own movie. And they dumped Lane, forget Lane. We're going to go on the road and be hanging out. So it's kind of a fun thing.
That would be great.
Isn't that funny? So she's, I love her and I have a great chapter on her. And we are dear friends and it's Amanda Wiss. So obviously those of you who are hep on that, keep an eye on our Instagrams and our social media because we connect.
Perfect. I think I saw a lot of that last time. And speaking of social media, I think what happened was why I missed your announcement that the book was available was I was on a cruise around that time.
That is.
So I kept trying to think of it later on, and I realized, oh, that's what it was. I was away. I was out of the country. So during that time, but so I missed it that time. But
I was going to say there are two more things you asked me about what I wish about the book. I wished that I had gotten an interview with Laura Waterbury. She had passed before I did the book, but I remember wanting to do the book before, and then I found out that she passed, and I was so upset because I would have loved to have talked to her. She would have been amazing. And then I also wanted to do an interview with Kim Darby. But Kim, actually, the funny thing is I saw Kim, I think it was almost the last convention she ever did. I don't know if she's doing conventions anymore. And so I was able to get a picture of us together, but I was hoping that we would be able to do one. But it was, she now needs her peace and who knows? I mean, obviously she could come out and be, like, ta-da, but at this point she wasn't available. And so I was like, okay, I respect that. That's where you're at. So, but I still talked lovingly about her. So you will hear about the terrible cook she is. Fantastic. So sorry. This is Mrs. Mayo.
Did you get to talk? I'm trying to remember when David passed away. Did you get to talk to him?
I didn't. Well, no, that was so long ago. That was probably 15 years ago that David passed away.
Oh, wow.
And yeah, I know, isn't it wild?
Wow.
And I think, well, no. I'm sorry. He didn't pass away that long ago. He worked with my daughter 15 years ago. So I don't know when he did, but I did not get a chance to interview him. But I do have some cool stories about him, and Savage does too. And that was really good.
Oh, that'll be great. Yeah, that was different for me to see him growing up watching MASH, and then to see him on this. Right? I was like, wait, what? It's like, this is weird. And then it was funny, his career going forward, how many different characters he would play. I was like, wow.
So many different ones. In fact, I as a child watched MASH too, and I didn't know he was Lane's dad. Like, I didn't make the association because his characters were so different.
Yeah.
It took me, I think years after we did it, that I went, wait a minute, that's the same guy? Like, wow, right? So wonderful. He's a tremendous actor.
Yes, wonderful guy. Oh my gosh. So much good stuff. I can't wait to dive into this. I'm adding that to my cart. I'm going to, or do you have it on your website? Or
you will not be disappointed. So I have to fix my website. I haven't even, here we go. It's still, the book is still coming out. You're knowing about it before I even get it on things. I just tell people go straight to Amazon and order it. If you do buy the book, when you come to a convention I'm at, I will sign it for free.
Awesome.
So that's the bonus of getting it. I will sign it for free if you have it. I will always at conventions have the book to purchase as well. But right now, the only way you can get it signed is by going to a convention. So hang on to it. You have it. I know I'm going to a convention this month, April 14th and 15th in Burbank at it's the Hollywood Show. I'm going to be in Burbank, California at the Hollywood Show. And then I may get other conventions coming up, but I have one in the UK, November. Let me see, it's the week of I think the 14th to the 23rd, something like that.
Okay.
I think it's around, it's like a week in second week of November. And then I also am going to, I think, be at 80s in the Sand. And if you are an 80s lover, you have to check this out. They were called 80s in the Sand. I think now they're just called the Sands. Look up 80s in the Sand and you will find it. It is a week-long 80s vacation with 80s celebrities. You will meet all these 80s celebrities, but you also will meet 80s bands, like they just signed The Cult. And Belinda Carlisle is going to be there. Last year they had Billy Idol. They've had Sebastian Bach. They have a wide range of performers. I can't even. You have to look on the list. It is the greatest event ever, and it is a week long. This one is in Mexico. They used to have it in the Dominican Republic in Punta Cana. So. I'm not being paid to say this. I go every year because I love it. Yeah. And what's really cool, again, is you'll meet your people, because the people who go to this event love the 80s. So you don't have to explain why you like Ferris Bueller's Day Off, or why you like, any of the, 16 Candles or Better Off Dead or Bill and Ted's. Everybody who's there loves the 80s. So, check it out. That's my inside recommendation.
I'm gonna have to look for that. Yeah, I'm gonna have to. You and Amanda will have to come up to Kansas City Planet Comic Con sometime.
Oh, so. Please. I have never been to Kansas City, and I would love. This is the one thing I do know about conventions. The people who do conventions need to hear from the patrons. So if you want an actor to come to your convention near you, and it could be, not just me, but anyone you love, you need to contact them and say, please, please, please bring these people, because the people who run conventions need to hear it from the public.
There we go. Yep. I know some people there. And I know some people there. I'm gonna have to reach out to them.
Yeah.
See if I can get it. I know we went last year, and I was so excited because there was Lou Ferrigno was there, and Flash Gordon.
Wow, see?
His name. I'm standing off to the side helping my wife with something. I'm looking over and I was waiting to go. I was going to be on a panel, and I was looking over and I'm watching this guy pull out all these Flash Gordon toys, talking with Sam Jones. And I was just like, oh my gosh, look at this guy. And Sam was just wonderful. I was watching him just interact, and he's pulling up each one of them. And oh yes, this one, I remember this. So this has this shooting figure that does that. And I
So
was like,
cool.
wow, that was so great. And you can't get that interaction anywhere else, just watching a movie or doing anything else. You got to get out there and see Diane and bring the book with you.
Yes, and we will take a picture, and I will bring the Bender of Dead coat. You can take a picture in it. Fantastic. It is. I think, there are many wonderful things that can happen to you in your life. You get married, you have children, you travel, you get a job that you love, you have great times with your friends. But these conventions will blow your mind. They will, you will remember them for the rest of your life. And I can't talk enough about how much I enjoy. I even see people that I grew up with. I remember seeing the people from Green Acres when I first went.
Yeah.
Green Acres. Now, those of you know, that shows how old I am. But I was a little kid, but I saw the actors from Green Acres, and I remember being just blown away. It was because I grew up watching them. Herman Munster. I took pictures with him, and I took pictures with. I have so many wonderful experiences. So, if you've never done it, it will be an experience you will be so happy you did. So
wonderful. So for the book lovers out there, are you going to have copies with you at the convention?
Yes, absolutely.
Oh, perfect.
So I will have copies of the book, and I will have at all the conventions, I will have copies of all my books and photos, and so we can take pictures together, and we'll have fun. We will have a grand time. It will be magnifique.
Outstanding. What's coming next for you? What are you working on next?
There are some things happening. Well, I've got a short film that's supposed to come out. That's going to be sort of probably going the film festival circuit. I think it's called Looking Up, actually, which is strange because I know other movies called Looking Up too. But it takes place in the 50s, which is very cool. So it's the second character I've ever played in the 50s. I did one in the night called Boone when I was a teenager. But this is a very special film, very cool. It's kind of like an X-Files. And I have a movie called Waking Nightmare, and I have no idea when that comes out, but if it does come out, it will be coming out probably in film festivals as well. And that one, I will scare the heck out of you. You've never seen me play a character like this. So it's a whole new world, right? And right now I have several movies you can watch that are new. I have High Holiday, which is out on Peacock channel, and I play that's with Jennifer Tilly and Tom Arnold and the late Cloris Leachman, which is amazing.
Yeah.
And then I have on Hulu, I have Amityville 2, The Possession is playing again, but also a movie called Ted Bundy, American Boogeyman. And that is special because I have a cameo in it, but my daughter actually has a lead, and she is the one who fights off Ted Bundy. Her name is Olivia De Laurentiis. So
great.
You can follow my daughter was actually on the TV show Pivoting. Also, she played a secretary on the show, and Donna. So if you look up Olivia De Laurentiis, that is Diane Franklin's daughter. So it's kind of fun. So
wonderful.
Yeah. As far as like things coming out right now, I just have the conventions coming out right now. So there are other films that I think may be in the works, but I can't say anything about them yet until they're done. That's the entertainment. You can't say it until it's done. Then you know you did it. Yep.
Do you have any ideas for your next book?
Oh my God, thank you for asking. That's so funny. I was just, I wasn't even thinking about it. And then I had I thought, okay, well, I definitely at some point would like to write an acting book for actors. So that is definitely somewhere down the line, but that's a different world. I was thinking perhaps I might write a book with, it might give, I don't know if anyone's interested, but I've learned so much in my life that I thought might be kind of interesting to write a book about like advice in different areas of my, like when you go through life, sort of life advice, because sometimes we don't have perspective when we're going through it, but later on, if you have someone who's older, who's gone through things, then you go, oh, okay, I never thought of it that way. I never saw it. And it obviously would be very, I think, helpful to people, which is why I would write it. For no other reason, but that sometimes I say things and people go, oh my gosh, like it never occurred to me that, you could look at something like that. So that might be kind of a sort of advice book. And then who knows, I might do maybe a horror one, maybe focusing on the horror films I've done, because I have done quite a bit of them now. So I might do one focusing on horror. So we'll see. If any of these sound interesting, please let Jason know, because I'd be interested in what kind of book you'd like to have me, do.
I will have to give it some thought. I would even be interested in if you ever decide to do anything fiction wise.
Oh my gosh, somebody asked me that, like, would I want to write a movie or a book? I have thought about it. And I have a lot of different ideas. Because I really feel like if I did something, there's so many different, what genre would I choose and what style and what subject matter. So I do have a lot of ideas. So yes, thank you for that one. I'll come back to you on that. Right, I owe you the next podcast, right?
All right. Perfect. All right. Thank you so much for coming on the show. Where could people find and follow you online?
Very, very nice for you to do. If you want to follow me, I would love for you to, because it's very fun on my pages and sites that what I do. You can go to Diane Franklin 80 on Twitter. So 80, not an S. And you can go to actress Diane Franklin on Instagram. I probably should say Instagram, actress Diane Franklin. Twitter, Diane Franklin 80. And Facebook, that's the tricky one. Don't go to Diane Franklin Facebook because it's full. I have like 1,000 people on waiting list trying to get in. So go to Diane Franklin official fan page. And I think that's a group, under group. And you'll see my black and white pictures, which now I have to actually change because it was only my first 2 books. I think I have to do the 3 books. And that is me too, but my manager also runs it as well. So, but it's me. So I will put new things on there as well. So that's where to follow me if you want to follow me.
Yes. Wonderful. All right. Marcy Buckets. I appreciate you coming on the show. This has been so much fun, and what a trip down memory lane for me. And I wish you all the best. I can't wait to check out the book.
I hope to meet you in person once. We can have French fries and French bread and Peru. All right.
That's right. All right. Well, ladies and gentlemen, it is my time to step aside with my coffee and listen in to our guest, Diane Franklin, with the excellent, take a breath, the excellent comedy of The Last American, French Exchange, Babe of the 80s, The Better Off Dead movie tribute book.
Jenny Meyer. Jenny Meyer is the almost perfect mom. She's a nonstop cleaner, an experimental cook, and she has an unconventional taste in clothes and gifts. Well, what more could you want? She would do anything for her kids, even if that means allowing Badger to cut out cereal box labels with the cereal still in it, or making Lane an innovative, alive dessert. She keeps her husband fashionable by buying him trendy clothes, like an aardvark jacket, and always gives Christmas gifts she knows are your favorite. How about that TV dinner, the one that with the chocolate nut brownie? True, she may not be the best homemaker, but she does mean well. And she's most definitely a positive influence on the family. Of course, Lane, well, she knows he's depressed, and she's not sure what to do to help him. Maybe cheer him up. She suggests he goes over and meets the new French exchange student living next door. Perhaps a dinner with the Smiths will help. Well, nothing like a mother's intuition. If it weren't for Jenny Meyer, Lane would never have met Monique. Sometimes moms give the best advice.
All right, and once again, that was Diane Franklin reading a sample chapter from her new book, The Excellent Comedy of the Last American French Exchange Babe of the 80s, the Better Off Dead Movie Tribute Book. Click the link in the show notes for the book, for Diane, all of her social media, and make sure you also get over and see her this week at the Hollywood Show. You also want to make sure you are clicking the links for our sponsors, affiliates, and podcast friends, and hit that subscribe button so you don't miss out next week when I am back with an all-new author, a new book, and a brand new sample chapter. Take care, everyone. Talk to you again real soon.